want to have a discussion with you about VI's ROI approach, which is the approach that we started 18 years ago, and thanks to you and your team and others at VI, we've perfected. And it was kind of interesting because we've had this approach and we've been doing it for so long, and we didn't have a name for it, and now we kind of realized it was our approach that made us unique in the marketplace. And so I want to have a conversation with you about it. It's a little different take on ROI. It's reconciliation, optimization, and intelligence. And it's something that's absolutely unique to VI, right? So our first approach is when we begin any of our cost reduction initiatives, we look at reconciliation, right? So we don't go jumping over to benchmarking. We don't go jumping over to optimization and variation. We look at the agreement, and we take a very, very deep, comprehensive look, 12 months to 18 months of invoice data, and look at the contract to say, well, has the hospital gotten what they were promised on the agreement, and is everything that they're using on the agreement?
Right, absolutely. So again, the simple is match the invoices to contracts. So are you paying for what you should be paying for at the price that you're contracted at? In many cases, that's not the case. I mean, we just did this recently with regulated medical waste provider, and our client, over 25% of the total spend was not under contract. So therefore, you're talking 75% were under contract, but 25% of the total spend was not on contract. There was no details whatsoever in the contract, which was really eye-opening to our clients. You know, then the second stage of that is, okay, so now that's 70%, 75% in that case on contract. Is it matching the pricing that's under the contract? And I think it was only 60% of that was only matching the exact pricing that's under the contract. So you're talking a significant amount of spend is not on contract and didn't have the right pricing.
Yeah, I mean, 60% was problematic. And if you are either you are working internally doing your own cost reduction initiatives, or if you're partnering with an outside firm, that analysis has to happen. I mean, you're going to miss out on huge opportunities just jumping to benchmarking or variation. You really have to understand the past, and from a pricing perspective, and what you've been receiving, have or have not, before you even move to the next stage.
Right, because that builds your negotiation case.
Absolutely.
You know, again, a part of our process is to understand the history and then develop what's going to be that future state. And we use this information as one of our pieces in the negotiation.
Absolutely.
And that leads to the optimization side, which is what are the trends?
Line item trends.
Line item trends.
I mean, which is really unique.
Right, exactly. So most people take 12-month spend reports, you know, and especially purchase services, it's just a line item one, and then $75,000 for the month, and you're saying, well, this month's at $75,000, this month is $80,000. It looks like it's trending in the same amount, but approved. But the line item details on those 2 months shows that certain things might be trending up higher, 30%. You know, and that's where some of the focus should be from a negotiation. Again, you know, part of our strategy session with our clients will show, all right, these are where you're trending. You know, over the course of 12 months, this is 10% of your spend, but if you look at the last 2 months, that 10% is now trending at close to 40%.
That's right.
So it's important to, you know, provide those insights into what is that future state again.
And how difficult it is to get that line item purchase service spend data, right? So we have analysts will take that invoice data and put it into spreadsheets. The only way to get that data in until now, which we'll talk about our new technology, but up until late 2016, we would put things in manually. We wanted to do it because that gave us the edge whenever we would show our clients the data, like, wow, you put in a 12 months, 18 months of invoice line item data. And we say we absolutely had to, because we can see real trends that way. Otherwise, you know, you might get right or wrong information from the vendor, or, you know, sometimes internal data may be right, or, you know, may not always be accurate, but invoice line item data is always accurate. And so by putting in that information, to your point, we get to see something occurring in the last 3 months that's a trend. And is kind of interesting with dialysis, and you've done a lot of work in dialysis. So everybody runs to the price points, right? 1-on-1s, 2-on-1s. You're getting the right price, maybe some supply costs, but that sometimes could only be 55% of the spend. It could be after hours costs, case delay costs, cases that are started and canceled, and that spend, they're not getting any more reimbursement for it. That really hurts the bottom line.
Right, and to be able to get real-time insights into when it's happening, so you can address it when it's happening. You're not addressing it 18 months later when the problem is already festered and it's a major issue. You're seeing it when it happens, and you're being able to address it not only from a high level, from a system standpoint, but with our technology and be able to do the line item trending, you can see specific to if you're a health system, a hospital, which one is the problem area.
That's right. Like, so you can have one hospital that has constant delays or constant start cancellations. And so that's never been able to be offered, to have real-time purchase services line item detail, which is which is really exciting and revolutionary, in the industry. So we have reconciliation, we have optimization, but optimization is line item detailed analysis and being able to trend. And then finally, our I is intelligence, and we have an incredible history of being able to benchmark very accurately, and not giving ridiculous benchmarks that will never ever be achieved, but being able to appropriately benchmark, and those appropriate benchmarks are being able to be achieved, that's our specialization.
Yeah, and obviously with the first two steps with the reconciliation and optimization, you're able to benchmark in an appropriate way. You're benchmarking the ones that are actually going to be impactful for the organization, where there might be a new widget that they're starting to insert into the spend. It's only been the last couple months, but because of the optimization, you're able to see that. With the reconciliation, that the price points that are under the contract are no longer there. You're negotiating not only new price points, but you're actually negotiating with with credits in mind as well.
And which is really powerful. Which is really it's a totally comprehensive, what we call our ROI approach. And so we're excited about launching Invoice ROI, our new technology, which takes our process. So we've had a process for 18 years. It takes this really proven great process of going looking at getting the invoice data, taking the invoice data, reconciling, looking at line item trends, and then being able to benchmark. So we have launched Invoice ROI so that hospitals can get real-time reconciliation, optimization, and insights.